good, yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet then, sweet. All right, I'm going to go live, but obviously no one will be able to see it yet anyway, but everyone happy?
Got my notes. Cool.
Oh shit, I just wrote notes.
I've got a pen.
I might have to go and get mine quick.
Yeah, go and get your notes.
Okay.
Oh no, look how prepared you both are. I've got some post-it notes. I'll just write something down now.
It's only because I wrote the questions down and I didn't want to look like I was looking at my phone, you know? But I'll put them on a bit of paper.
Okay, I've just sent the link in the thing, the chat for you.
So is that link different?
Yeah, it's just the one for the actual live video rather than like the home page. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just going to try that home page and see what comes up. Ah, we are actually live. I can see it on the page.
Yeah. Does it come straight up on the one that I gave you before?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it comes up like that.
I'm going to just go and get my little notes that I wrote down. Be 2 secs.
No worries. Jessie, I can't believe we've never actually met before.
I know. I was saying this again the other day, because he followed me on Instagram and I was like, saw him with like Alex Keane and all these boys that I grew up with. And then Steph messaged me being like, yeah, I know both of them. I was like, I don't know. I don't know where I've been hiding.
It's so weird. Did you go to Langley then?
No, I went to Bromley High.
Oh, okay. That's probably why.
Yeah, so I know Steph. Our parents are friends. So our older brothers went to nursery together. So she's like my family friend. So I used to hang around with the Langley girls through Steph. And like her friends would meet my friends. So I know all the Langley girls. Yeah. But I'd never obviously went to Langley. And then I'd go out in Beckenham sometimes. And every time I'd go out with Steph, they'd be like, who's your mate? And I'd be like, I'm going to meet you last week. Like everyone in Beckenham was like, oh, you're not from round here, are you? I was like, I went to Bickley. It's not Middle Earth. It's like I literally live in Langley, but I just didn't go to the school. Yeah. And every time they're like, so nice to meet you. I'm like, I've got all of you on Instagram, but okay, cool. Never mind. Did you go to Langley?
Yeah. So I was the year above Steph in school. Yeah. So we're all connected that way. But yeah, I do like recognise you, from like probably Steph's Instagram. It's weird. Goes back to the bubble conversation we had last week.
Yeah.
It does. When I was listening to it, because I have it so much with Beckenham, and I always like, you don't look like you're from Beckenham, you don't sound like you're from Beckenham, and I'm like, do I have to get my driving licence out? My postcode is BR3. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And it was almost like an insult, like, you're not from Beckenham, you're not real Beckenham. I'm like,
yeah, I am.
Leave me alone. I don't even know what that means.
I know. Yeah, you all good to go?
Yeah. I was just putting the link out to people. So.
Oh, did you do it live?
Oh God, was this all live?
Yeah, I just said like this is where it's going to be on here in 10 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, they're not watching yet. Well, they might be. I'll check. Yeah, one person's watching, but it's all right. We're starting soon.
Hello, one person. Go and get a cup of tea.
Yeah, we'll be starting soon. We're just talking nonsense for a minute.
Yeah, remember Jessie, she is actually from Beckenham.
My hair is.
Yeah, don't ever say you've never met me, because I get really angry about it.
I wish that was the case for me.
I must admit, I don't recognise you, if that makes you feel any better. Not that I'm
great news.
In the woods. There's no difference here, I don't know.
All right, I've got to take this top off.
Yeah, I just turned my heating off
twice in my life.
Yeah, we're too old to go there now. It's over. The fun's over.
Maybe after lockdown, though, I'll just be like, right, I'm reliving my youth. I missed a year.
Yeah, I did say this to the girls. I was like, I feel like maybe we've had long enough away that it might be fun again. Like if we went out in Beckenham, it could potentially be fun again. So I might give it a go.
I've moved out of Beckenham now, so I don't actually live in Beckenham anymore. But I might
have to come back. Where do you live?
I moved to Wimbledon.
Oh, okay, yeah, not too far.
Yeah, so it's still in London, but it's a bit more central now.
Yeah. You all good, Glenn?
So I moved last October.
Sorry.
And obviously been in lockdown, so I haven't ever like left my flat. I don't know where the coffee shops are. I don't know what my commute is like to work. So everyone's like, "How are you enjoying your new flat?" I'm like, "Yeah, the area. I have no idea." I know. I joined a gym and then 2 days later it all closed. Perfect.
Oh, so annoying. Yeah, it's been a funny old year, but I feel like there is some sort of hope now-ish.
Well, that announcement was good, wasn't it, really?
That's encouraging, isn't it?
There is a tiny bit of a lag.
Yeah.
Is it me?
I don't know. I think it might be a mix of all of us, but just thinking when we answer stuff, it might overlap a little bit.
I'm going to try and go on my phone.
I think it's all right.
Maybe, Jessie, if you ask a question, just be like, Glenn.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Then we don't speak over each other.
Yeah, it's good, Glenn.
Yeah, that's better.
Cool.
Getting pre-match nerves now.
Yeah, we're
It's very official with your like Britney Spears head.
What's the song? I don't know the song.
It might be me. It's my internet.
Amy watched the documentary the other day. She said it was good.
Oh yeah, the Free Britney thing.
Yeah. Apparently she got
I want to watch
proper
it. I
mugged
didn't even
off.
get it in the UK yet, can you?
You can, but you have to get it on Now TV, so you get like a free month, and then.
Yeah, we got some dodgy box out here, so we get all the stuff.
Where are you, Glenn?
Dubai.
Oh, cool. Do you live out there?
Yeah, been here for 2.5 years now. I think. Yeah, 2.5 years. So.
Oh, cool.
Got out of the Beckenham bubble, you know.
Good for you.
He's an influencer. Since he started the page, he moved out to Dubai because he thought he's an influencer now. So he's out there.
You're Love Island next.
He's lived there for a month.
Yeah, when the lockdown hit again, I come out and I've not been back since.
Are you going to come back?
For a holiday, probably in the summer, but I doubt any sooner, really.
Yeah.
I'd like to come back for this run, but it's not going to be possible, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, never mind. What can you do? It's crap though, because I mean, Amy's family are meant to be out early April, but obviously the flights can't happen, and then this flight is because the last one got cancelled. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
it's just never ending, is it, at the minute?
No, I don't know when exactly we're going to be able to book stuff. I haven't booked anything yet because it'll probably get cancelled.
No, yeah, I think just wait till the next one.
Yeah, it's a bit
premature. The announcement comes, really. Yeah, it's crap, really crap. But hey ho.
I'm just going to put something on Insta. Might take a little photo of the Zoom and just say we're live in 5.
Yeah, I'm
oh, hang on. Right, smile. Oh no, it goes all fuzzy because it's a screen.
2 seconds.
Yeah, it went a bit fuzzy.
all right, 3 minutes or something. I'll just post on Instagram as well.
Yeah, cool.
I was going to go live, but I'm too scared to go live.
I'm traumatized after last week. So much better doing it on here.
Okay, right.
Right, I've put it on. How's your connection, Jessie?
I've just changed it over because mine was really bad. I couldn't hear anything of what you were saying, but I was on my extension connection, so I've just swapped it over, so hopefully it should be better now.
Yeah, that's much better. Much better.
Because I could hear you talking, but I couldn't hear what you're saying, and then both you put your camera up, and I was like, taking a photo, and I was like, frozen. So I was like, I don't know what that means.
I thought you were posing just randomly froze
like this. Oh no! What a strong start from me.
It's 2 minutes to go, but I feel like we should kind of get going.
Yeah. Do you want to give it 1 minute? Is there anyone watching us already?
There's 5 people watching now. Hi everyone.
Hey everyone.
Ew.
We just got on a bit early. We got on a bit early because we were a bit nervous and anxious. So, you know, we're just trying to. We got pre-game nerves, guys.
We've been doing some breathing exercises.
Put some deodorant on.
I've been doing my meditation.
I've got my box of tissues as well in case I start crying.
Oh no, don't, because then I'll start.
Yeah, I mean, I cry very easily, so.
I never cry unless someone else starts crying, and then I'm like, I just really feel your pain.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Should we give it 1 minute, or should we get going?
By the time we've got the balls to start, it'll be 7, won't it? Yeah. So yeah, there's 9 people watching now, so there's a lot of people joining, so we should just crack on, I think.
Cool. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm going to try and play host tonight. Please don't cringe too hard because I'm just taking pointers from things that I've learned through work and watching other people. So if I come across very cringy, I apologise. But it's probably worth, I just wonder if there's any newbies watching, just to ask both of you to introduce yourself. I'll go first. I'm Jessie. I run a page called Biggerthanmy, talking about mental health and other people's mental health, just to normalise it really and make it part of the everyday conversation. But Glenn, I don't know if you want to kick off and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm sure people know me by now, but yeah, I'm Glenn. I started up Men of the Hill through my football and cricket club. We're just sort of raising awareness for men and women's mental health in the area, and as far as we can reach, really, to just spread the word and help as many people as we can through our own experiences, really. So yeah, that's us.
And smashing it so far, I think.
Thank you, and you.
And we're joined by Jessie. So this is Glenn and I's second one in our, I think we could call it like a series. I don't know, see where it goes. But we're joined by Jessie. Yeah. We're joined by Jessie. And Jessie, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your blog and kind of the story behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it might get a bit confusing. So I'm also Jessie.
Yeah.
I have to get some people with different
Jessie
names. Yeah, I'm Jessie M. So I run a page on Instagram called Living with Endo. I started it in the lockdown or last summer. And basically it was just to raise awareness for a chronic disease that I have called endometriosis. Since then, I've actually been diagnosed with a second chronic illness called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So the page has kind of evolved into just chronic illnesses in general and how that affects you physically and mentally. Just trying to destigmatize conversations around periods and bleeding. At the moment, I think it's on average about 7.5 years it takes for a woman to get diagnosed with endometriosis, and it affects 1 in 10 women. So the fact that there's such kind of little conversation around something that affects so many women, I'm trying to kind of get a bit more awareness out there.
Amazing.
Great.
you're kind of here with us today, Jessie, not on the sort of chronic illness conversation, but to talk about something a little bit different and really personal. And Glenn, I know that you have a similar story in that you have both lost a parent. So we're here to talk about grief and bereavement tonight, and kind of about your experiences, and I've got a few questions that I'm kind of going to use to guide the conversation, but obviously if something else comes up, or you want to say something else, just do it. It's just to guide the chat a little bit. And I just wondered, and just to tee this up, Jessie, I know that you lost your dad quite recently, and Glenn, you lost your dad 13 years ago. So I just wonder, maybe Glenn, starting with you, kind of how that experience has kind of evolved for you, and how it felt to lose your dad as a teenage boy, and how that's affected you, sort of growing up.
Well, I think it's a funny thing to talk about, isn't it, really? Because no one really wants to talk about it, whether you've lost someone or whether you haven't. The person that's not lost someone feels awkward to speak to the person that has, and maybe feels like they might upset the person, and then the person that maybe has lost someone maybe doesn't want to talk about it. I'm not like that personally. I will talk about it till the cows come home. But and if someone asks me about my dad, then I'll talk about it all night long, you know what I mean? So but yeah, for me, like, obviously it's a shock. It wasn't expected. My dad was ill with, he had heart issues already, but you just don't think that it's going to happen to you, especially seeing one of my best friends lose his dad a couple of years before, and seeing, what he went through, and you don't whatever want to have that happen to you. So it was tough, and I think it's strange because your friends want to be there for you, and I found for me that people were there, but once a couple of weeks go by, I can count on one hand how many people said, "Glenn, are you all right? Glenn, how are you?" or "Glenn, this or that." You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough thing, and I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. It's because people don't know how to talk about it, and I found that quite hard because I felt like people were there at the start and weren't after, and I kind of was angry at everything because of that, and that's kind of the early stages of it. That's what it was like for me when I was young, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of, on that point, kind of comes back to what we were talking about last week, about when we were growing up and not speaking about how we feel and not knowing how to approach those conversations.
Exactly.
And I wonder, Jessie, sort of losing your dad as an adult, if we call ourselves adults now, we're at that point.
Never.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Nah.
Me, definitely
I've
not.
got a bow in my hair.
yeah, fine. But I just wonder, was that experience different for you, or how that panned out, really?
Yeah, so I lost my dad to brain cancer. He wasn't ill at all. We were in America and he had kind of really bad sinuses. They took him for an MRI, found a tumour in his brain. They operated almost immediately, and he just kind of didn't recover. At first he was all right, and then it grew back. But within 11 months, I think, after the initial diagnosis, he had died. It was quite a real rapid decline. I resonate a lot with what Glenn was saying about the kind of, it's that initial frenzy of the death and the funeral, and you are, I don't know obviously about you, Glenn, but I was just running on adrenaline.
I think a lot of for me, and I think a lot of people probably say this, it's so strange that your world has stopped and has come crashing down, but everything else around you is still moving, and everyone else's life is still going on.
Yeah, I absolutely. And everything's changed, but nothing's changed. Like when we came home from the hospital after he had died, so he was in hospital for I think about 6 weeks before he died, and I was with him when he died. Then we just kind of packed up his stuff, got in the car and went home. And I just remember walking through the front door and the house was exactly the same. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I was like, oh, there's the coffee mug from like the tea I had this morning. And it was just, your whole life had changed, and you expect those movie moments where your knees buckle and the rain starts coming down and it's this kind of big dramatic moment, and it just wasn't. It was just, life just carries on. And then it's like, right, okay, so now let's plan the funeral, let's, all of these like admin tasks that you're just going through the motions. I was on complete autopilot for weeks, and I think that's what's difficult, because when people reach out and people talk to you and you get messages every day and the house is full of sympathy cards, and I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of the conversations I had with people. It's the next couple of months when the dust settles and you have to go back to work and life goes back to normal, yet you've got this massive hole in your heart. That's when you need your mates. That's when you need the, are you all right? And I think it's difficult because it's not sustainable for everyone to message you till you stop hurting. Otherwise I'd have people messaging me for the rest of my life. So
yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? And you know, when I said that I could count on one hand how many people were checking in, it's not that people didn't care or people don't care about you. It's just people don't care about your situation because they've got their own life. Absolutely. And their life moves on. And that's the toughest thing about it, I think, is that you like, I've always, until I mean I still do now, but I feel like the world owes me something. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the world because the world's taken, you know, my dad away and my granddad away, like made me have an accident and lose one, like, vision in one eye. Like, the world, it's not been good to me. Do you know what I mean? So the world owes me something, and I feel like and I'm not angry at the world. Like, I'm not angry at anyone or anything, but like, why has it got to be me? And what, like, surely, for, you know, cut me some slack and give me something. Like, do you know what I mean? Fill this like the hole in your heart, or, do you know what I mean?
I resonate with that
so much. But it doesn't work. Unfortunately it doesn't work. But I feel like there's it's a hard situation because not everyone deals with it in the same way, right? And I feel like, you know, the first couple of years, you know, probably the stage you're at now, I mean, I took myself into some, you know, the drink and whatever else, and got into some bad places, but I didn't know it at the time. Only now that I realize sort of where I was with it. But like now, I don't feel like I ever get down about the fact that my dad's not here anymore. Like, I'm never sitting there going, oh, my dad's not here, I'm sad, ever, really. Like, not because I don't miss him, and because I do, but I feel like maybe it's consciously it's in the back of my head, but it's not at the front, and I'm not thinking I'm sad because my dad's not here, you know. And I don't know if that's because I'm not normal, or I don't know if that's because I've dealt with it in a certain way, but I think I used the fact that my dad's not here anymore and the fact that I was angry at the world to say, right, I'm not going to be like this anymore. I'm not going to be weak anymore. I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, and use that as fuel to get me where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do in life, a kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that you don't realize it until you go through it, and that's why it's hard for other people to be there for you. That it sounds really unique, like silly to say that it changes your life, because of course it does, but it changes your life in ways that you wouldn't even understand. Like, I went through such an identity crisis, and I was like, I'm 24, what do I want to do in my life? And it was all of these kind of aspects, my relationship with food, my relationship with everything changed. And I don't know about you, kind of saying, Glenn, about wanting to get a good job. Like, to me, every decision you make somehow comes from that experience. And
well, I think you want to do it to make your mum and dad proud, but because your dad's not there, you want to do it even more for that reason. And I think was it last week or whenever I was saying that kind of took over my mindset, that I'm doing it for him all the time, when actually I just do it for myself, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people might miss that what, like, because it messes you up mentally, but you don't know it, kind of thing. And it's so hard to even explain to someone that hasn't gone through it. Do you know what I mean? It's so hard to.
It's a really unique experience to lose someone when you're not ready to. And I know no one's ever ready to lose a parent, but kind of from my perspective, none of my friends had lost a parent yet. And I was like, I'm 24. That's not what you're supposed to. At 24, you're supposed to kind of be. I kind of just graduated uni, and I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And I'd gone through a breakup, and I was like, that's the normal amount of pain you're supposed to feel at 24. You're not supposed to have lost your safety blanket. And I was like, I suddenly was really adult in the fact that I was sitting making a speech at my dad's funeral, and I was like, God, I feel really adult. And then there was that other side of me that was like, I want to get on that floor and roll up into a ball and let my dad come and pick me up, because I felt like a child. It takes you in kind of two complete hearts, because you have to grow up, but you almost then resent the fact that you have to grow up, and you're not ready. I'm not ready to not have my parent. I'm not ready to not be a kid, even though when he was alive, if he tried to like parent me, I'd be like, fuck off, Dad, I'm 24. So it's really weird. I didn't want that when he was alive, but I was suddenly craving a relationship I didn't even have. I needed my dad and that support, and I didn't even want that when he was around. It's just getting your head around something that you thought you were never going to lose suddenly gets ripped away from you. And then you have, I really hope I get to where you are, Glenn, with the not having those moments, because I have them all the time where I suddenly think about, oh my God, remember one day when I'm going to do that? And my brain automatically goes, he doesn't want to be there. And it's like, I can't get away from that kick in the stomach. Like, you might get married one day, Dad's not going to walk down the aisle though. And it's like that niggling of everything possible. When I bought my house, it was like, oh my God, I bought my first house, Dad's not going to see it. And it's any joy or any kind of milestone I've had since he's passed, it's that kind of cloud over you. It's exhausting. Do you like?
I mean, obviously, you know the chronic disease you've got and stuff. It's very, you know, it must be awful. And my situation with my eyes completely, you know, not on that level at all. But you know, I lost my granddad in December, right, and then my dad in February. So the space of 2 months, and then a year later, I have an accident and I'm blind in one eye, right? And me and my mum ever really said is like, our luck shit, when we got no luck, and it's always us, and we're Kurt. Do you feel like, I mean, with your situation, you know, you obviously lost your dad, you've got these illnesses. How do you like stay positive and be strong? And like, I mean, I just got like so much respect for you that you can carry on. And you know, like you said, you've got a house and you're doing what you're doing, and it's great. So like, you know what I mean, you've got to be a strong-willed person to do that. And I think I thought I was strong-willed, but I mean, it's just different gravy.
Is not. I really appreciate that, but if you saw me most days, you probably wouldn't say I'm that positive. I think for me, so I've had endometriosis since I was 21, and it was something that obviously I always knew. My dad knew that I was poorly, and I think that why me feeling has definitely, I've had that. So with my Ehlers-Danlos, it's a genetic condition that I was probably born with. Always kind of had flimsy bones and had breaks, but it's never really actually affected my life until I had an operation last year, and I bled really badly during the operation, got sent to a haematologist, and that's when they diagnosed me. And I was actually, it was probably last Tuesday, I was in physio, so I'm now in physio every week, so it's got really bad. And I just broke down and I was like, why has this happened? And he was like, it's most times out, like 9 times out of 10 with rare diseases, it can be brought on by emotional or physical trauma. And then that just completely buckled me. Yeah, it did. But at the same time, I was like, have I not lost enough? Have I not hurt enough through losing my dad that I now have an incurable disease for the rest of my life? And I think that's what gets me. It's like, did you not did you not think I suffered enough from just going through that experience alone? And now every day I wake up in pain, and it's a constant reminder of, God, you went through that trauma, you went through that. But I think in terms of being positive, I guess the experience with my dad, because it was also quick, and he was such a strong man. He just wasn't ill. He was never ill. He never went to doctors. And then he was suddenly kind of this fragile man who had cancer, and I saw him in a completely different light. I guess it's a really hard but humbling lesson of how valuable life is and how quickly it can be taken away. So don't get me wrong, I do have my days where I don't get out of bed, and I think this is just so hard. And then especially now we're in a pandemic, but for me, on the most part, it's just trying to kind of get my head around, you're still here, you still got a lot to live for. You've now got more to live for, in the sense that all my dad ever said to me was like, I just want to see you happy, I want to see you settled. So I guess my positivity comes from understanding how fragile life can be. And yeah, my life's tough at times, and with these illnesses it's not easy, but there's so much good that I still can do. And I think that's what I'm trying to do with my page. I've kind of brought about this hashtag called Ill But Still, and it's something that I really am trying. It's like changing that mentality of, this list is awful of what you can't do and how you feel, and the medication you have to take and the operations you have to have, all awful, all need time, and those emotions are completely validated. But don't forget about this list. Don't forget about the list that you can smile, you can go to work, you have your friends, you have your family. I've got a little niece, and just little photos of her and her wellies just make me so happy. And it's just things like that, those cannot be taken away by your illnesses. So I guess that's probably the main driver for me, is just in how to stay positive. And I also think, I don't know if you felt this, Glenn, but when it happened to me, I was like, no one on this planet knows how I feel. I've never felt so lonely. I've never felt so isolated. No one understood me. And I guess with my page now, obviously it's completely different because it's about endometriosis, but it's about being that person that I didn't have and I wish I had. I think that drives me to be positive and to be kind of and have these conversations around mental health, chronic illnesses, and now grief, because I wish someone, like even just talking to you now, when you said about being angry, and I'm like, God, that's how I felt. And it's just, it validates you for someone else to go, yeah, I get it. But they actually do get it.
Yeah, but I mean, I was lucky because, I say lucky, but my best friend had lost his dad a year or so before. And I mean, we went through it together. He was there when I got off the plane from a school trip and found out. He was there. You know, he's been there for everything, really. We've got through it together, and I think we've dealt with it in different ways, but we had each other, so we understood, like when Father's Day comes around and everyone's putting up posts about their dad, and me and him just go to the pub together or go out together because we ain't got a dad. Do you know what I mean?
I come next time.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what we ended up doing. And then, it's just little things, like for me, that the Father's Day thing's just awful. Christmas is just awful. I hate Christmas, really. Like, I'm fortunate enough now that, with Amy, like, we get to go to her family's house because there's only me and my mum and Nan. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just not the same anymore. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm with her and there's a big family there, like, we feel like it's a new lease of life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got a family again, kind of thing. And I think people don't realise that because people are doing their own thing, people are living their own life. And I'm not saying I want people to say to come to their house for Christmas, or you know what I mean? It's just people don't understand because they haven't gone through it. No. And like, even my another friend, he's lost his mum. Whenever it's Mother's Day, thinking of you, mate, things like that. Like, I think people just forget sometimes, and that really annoys me. Like, it's not no one's fault at all. It's nobody's fault. But in my head, I'm hurting. Do you know what I mean? Because but I want to be able to put up a picture with my dad and say Happy Father's Day, or do you know what I mean? But I can't. Yeah. So how do I channel that? Like, there ain't no way to channel that. You can't. There's no way of managing that feeling.
No.
You can't turn that feeling off, because it's just impossible to do that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes like it's because you can't do anything about it. And I think this is something that I've really struggled with, is not knowing anything that I have or anything that people have done is wrong. If they text me on Father's Day, I'm like, cool, thanks for that fucking reminder, it's Father's Day. And then they didn't text me and I'm like, wow, you don't even, do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's not
that's
them.
the thing. But a lot of people probably
no one can help.
thinking of you. People probably don't want us to text saying thinking of you to remind you of it. But believe me, I'm already reminded of it by Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like, or whatever.
Yeah, I think for the one thing that I kind of want to stress out there is always say something. Like, a lot of my friends, I didn't know what to say, and I completely empathize with that at all. But I think my advice would always be say something over nothing, even if you think it's like the chances are what you're going to say is going to hurt less than saying nothing.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question as a kind of, I lost my nana, and it was horrific, but I haven't lost a parent, and I just wonder, and I have friends that have, and I have friends that have lost siblings, and it's just, I guess it's sort of, if someone's watching that might know someone that's going through this, I guess it's just like, what is the best thing as a friend that you can do to support that person? Because I think you don't want to overstep the mark. You don't want to put yourself on that person so much that they feel as though that they feel uncomfortable with it.
No.
I just wonder.
I'll tell you something, right? If one of my friends lost someone, I'd be the first one to put my arm around them and say, I'm sorry or whatever. But I find it awkward to do that. I've lost someone. I find it awkward. It's not easy. Like, I get it. Do you know what I mean? I get it, but I just think to know by someone putting their arm around you and going, like, I'm here, that's it. Yeah. That's all someone needs, really. Like, I've learned to talk, and I'll talk to someone if I need to talk to someone now. But before I wouldn't. And I'd put an Instagram post up of my dad, but I never put 2 years or anything before, or my dad died, or I'd never tell anyone my dad died. I'd just put a picture up. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to fuss over. I didn't want people to go, "Oh, feel sorry for Glenn," or I didn't want that. But I did want to remind people sometimes when I'd done it that I'm still going through this. I've still lost my dad. Like, I'm still in need sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I completely get when people put up pictures like that, because they need someone. It's a cry for help, really. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's hard for people to know what to say. It really is. Like, and I get it. But I really just think it's a matter of going, like, I'm here, or just saying, are you okay? Simple as that. Or,
yeah. And I guess just actually listening. I think it's one of those situations that if you haven't been through it, you cannot relate. So it's about just saying, I'm here to listen to you and support you, but not trying to relate to it, because like you say,
I think that is really key. That is really key. And I struggled with that a lot when people would try and relate, or I kind of remember certain instances of kind of people older than my parents saying, "Oh, I recently lost my parent," and it used to make me so angry that I was like, you're in your 60s.
Yeah, you got
40 odd years on me. It used to make me so angry. But I would say, I think, and obviously everyone grieves differently, so this is not kind of off the shelf advice that would work for everyone. But I think something that I noticed, my friends would really try and protect me from their life. And sometimes it's really nice for your mate to ring you up and just go, do you know what, I had a really bad day at work today, and you feel normal. I felt like a normal 24-year-old again, where I'm like, okay, cool, I can have a conversation that is like, my friends were scared, being like, oh, don't worry about me, how are you? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I want to have that. I want you to ask me how I am. But also, if you had a massive argument with your boyfriend, like, tell me, this isn't going to be a slow process. Like, we can still talk about it. I am still me, I'm still your mate. And I think that was, for me, something I found hard is like notably watching everyone pussyfoot around you. And I was like, just treat me normally. But then I didn't realise how abnormal I was feeling at the time. So I understand why they did it completely, but I just wanted to feel normal. I felt like I had this sign on my head in every room, like, Dad just died. Dad, she's the one. She's the cancer kid. I used to call myself the cancer kid because that's what made me feel like.
People distance themselves because
they
feel
do,
like they
don't
don't want to, they don't want to pressure you. Like we don't speak to, like, Mum don't speak to her best friend anymore because she didn't know what to say, and she thought there was a miscommunication, but they don't speak anymore. I don't speak to a good friend anymore because he probably didn't know what to say. I mean, I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose, but people don't know how to cope with it, and that's it, isn't it? Really, like you can't.
It's really hard to move on in a relationship, though. I feel like if someone has blatantly not been there, like, you fall out with friends in the past, but I feel like if any relationship that I felt going through that time, they just weren't there, I really struggled to then move on from that. It's like the first time in my life, like, I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I like to be liked in that sense, and it's the first time I'm like, nah, I don't need you in my life. Like, I needed you. That was the first time. I'm quite a strong person, really good relationship with my family, so I've never kind of needed support in that way. I'm quite independent. It was the first time that I was like, I'm on my knees. I am absolutely on my knees and I need help for the first time in my life, and you didn't recognize that. And that's hard. That's hard to have that conversation with somebody.
Yeah, I can imagine. I just wonder, talking about kind of emotional support and support from friends, just thinking about, if you don't mind me asking, if either of you sought like professional help and what that experience was like, whether it was negative and super patronizing or really helpful. Again, like, to stress, we're talking about own experiences, so I'm sure people have had loads of different experiences, but I just wonder if you did that.
Ben, do you want to go first?
I mean, so when I lost my dad in 2008, right? I didn't know there was anything like that then. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know that. I thought you just had to go to the doctor and end up in, seeing what I would call back then like a shrink or you'd end up down the nut house because you with it. Do you know what I mean? That's it. Back talking about, like, so I didn't see no one, and then all of a sudden when I got to about 21, me and my mum had a big old row in Harvester in West Wickham.
You've got a real habit of having arguments at carveries.
Yeah, I know. When did I have another one?
Random habit.
I think in our first chat you said you had
it's the same one then. It's
in
the
the
same one.
Yeah.
Remind me to never go for a drink with you on a Sunday.
No, like I don't know what it was, but I just
had something.
Must have been. They ran out of turkey, I think. We just fell out about something. I think I was just letting everything build up, and I just don't know what happened. I don't even know what it was over really. But after that, I thought, well, I'm not really getting on. I'm not really expressing any emotions to my mum or my nan. Like, is it because of my dad? Is it because, what is it? Do you know what I mean? Is it because I'm not getting on with my mum? Like, or I don't know. Maybe because I was at that age where I was changing as a person and changing my personality because I wanted to be strong and not show the emotions, or maybe I was letting out the real Glenn. I don't know what it was, but I went to Bromley Counselling BCS, Bromley Counselling Service, and I think it was like £7 an hour or something. Like, good deal, to be fair.
Yeah, that's good.
But it helped because I was talking about things, but I didn't get to the bottom of anything. Do you know what I mean? I didn't get to the bottom of, like, why I'm feeling the way I am. Is it because my dad died? Is it because of, my accident? Or is it because of, do you know what I mean? I don't know. I was just talking about stuff and it helped, but it didn't answer any questions for me, But I mean, I'm not a spiritual guy and I'm not like a, anything like that. But I've been to a clairvoyant a few times, and the things that she said to me have definitely settled me in regards to, like, just some of the things she said relating to my dad, basically. And I just feel like if I didn't do that, I might have been even more lost than I already was, because it at least gave me some comfort. Because, you know, it's like they say, like, I'm connected with your dad and this happened or that happened. And you go, wow, like, how does she know that? Do you know what I mean? I don't know how she knows that. But that comforted me. And I felt like that, even now, I'm definitely going to see my dad again someday, somehow. I don't believe in God and I don't believe in heaven, but I know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just, in my head, I know it. So it doesn't matter. Do you know? And that gives me comfort. And what she said to me is more than any psychiatrist or anything could say, because I went and it didn't answer my questions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it at the end of the day. So that's my story, really.
Jessie, did you seek any professional or spiritual help afterwards?
No, I'm quite similar to Glenn on the spiritual stuff. Although I did see a clairvoyant in Brighton once after my dad died, and she was like, oh, I've got your dad here, and he wants like you to know that he loves you. And in my head I was thinking, do not believe in this, but at the same time she was like, you're really crying. I was like, oh yeah, sorry. I didn't even realise. I was like, this is a load of rubbish. I was sobbing in the middle of Brighton. So before he died, so he was in Guy's Hospital, and they had a clinical psychologist who came and saw my brother and I and said basically that you're going to have a decision to make to turn everything off. That can be a lot. How do you feel about it? And it was really awkward, like in the coffee shop of the hospital. And obviously we did make the decision to turn everything off the next day. And that was my first kind of like experience of it, of this random woman in a lab coat being like, so how are you? I was like, yeah, dandy love, like I'm having a great day. So I kind of was like, no, I don't think that's going to be for me. And then I wasn't sleeping. I had really, really bad sleeping after it happened, really vivid dreams. And my endometriosis started to flare up. So I went to the GP and again started crying in the GP and explained the situation. They put me on a low dose of antidepressants. So I was on 20 milligrams of citalopram. And I've actually stayed on them now. And then when I got diagnosed with EDS, they put it up to 40 milligrams because they were like, just have as much as you can, you got a lot on. And then I had, from Talk to Bromley, I had 10 free bereavement counselling sessions. I mean, she was lovely. The lady was named Liz. She was absolutely lovely lady, but I think her way of therapy was very conversational, in the sense that she would just listen. And I would happily fill the hour with, this week I'm feeling about this week I'm feeling about this, because as a person, I just naturally feel silences. But again, I don't feel like I got anywhere. I don't feel like, I don't think I took steps forward in dealing with what had happened. It was just someone to listen to me and to validate how I felt. And I don't take away what she did, because having those feelings validated was helpful at the time. But I think moving forward, I'd like to maybe start seeing someone who does a bit more kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy and some more practical tools and tips for those moments on Father's Day, or when I'm the hairdresser, someone goes, what did your dad do? And I'm like, I feel like I want to vomit. And just kind of those sorts of more helpful tips. I'm quite a practical person, so talking about my feelings aren't my strong suit, but if I'm very good at, right, I feel this, how do I then, what do I do with it? Where do I put it? What can I do? And I think that kind of more practical advice might be quite helpful. But one thing that I've found is having my dad and feeling my dad. I assumed I'd walk into a room and you'd get that, again, like the movies, when you're like, oh, I know he's in here, or you could look up to heaven and hear his voice and speak to him, and all these ideas that I had what death was like. And I had none of them. I couldn't feel him, I couldn't connect with him, and I was like, God, I didn't even love him. Like all of these horrible thoughts. And I got his ashes put into a ring that I wear every day. And I'm quite badly dyslexic. Glenn found out the other day when he was messaging me. And we had this word called Woodley Humphrey that me and my dad made up whenever I couldn't think of a word, or like stuttered over my words. He just like, fake it till you make it, say the word Woodley Humphrey. I've now actually got it tattooed on the back of my arm. It's a silly little tattoo, no one knows what it means, but in those two things I feel like I don't feel I'm not connected to him, and I also get them as nice reminders because I know they're there, rather than every time my dad being brought up, I fear it because it's awkward and it's uncomfortable and it's come out of nowhere. They're reminders that don't catch me out or don't catch me by surprise. I put them there, and I can go to those places by choice to feel my dad, rather than it coming up in a conversation that I wasn't prepared for. So yeah, that was a bit of a long-winded way of saying haven't really tried that much therapy, looking into it. I'm on antidepressants. I don't like, obviously there's a whole conversation on that. They helped me not have as many lows, because the bad days were getting really bad. Doesn't make you miss your dad anymore, doesn't make the pain any less. It just makes getting out of bed a bit more tolerable, and having a shower is something that you do every day rather than every 4 days.
Yeah, I think antidepressants, I've also been on citalopram before, and it's almost just the band-aid, isn't it? Before you are ready to dig deeper, it's sort of, I'll put you on this and bring you up to sort of equilibrium, and then when you're ready, you can go to the
it's like turning up to a tsunami with a dustpan and brush. Like it is that. And I think for me anyway, because I wasn't depressed as such, I've never had depression, I was going through grief, so it was very different type of hurting, I would say. But they were my experiences. I'd love to try more, but it's really difficult because anyone I speak to, I'm like, please go and speak to someone. It sounds like you need to speak to someone. I advocate it so much, but there's something with me, I don't know if you have this with Glenn, where I'm like, if I had depression with my anxiety and all the other things I suffer with, I can completely understand talking to someone, but nothing you say will make him undead, so I don't understand what we're going to talk about.
No, I get it. I think, but again, like, you know, it's still early days for you, and the whole cliche of time's a healer. I think it definitely is. You know, it's like anything, you know, with in life, if you have to adapt to not having something. If you don't have the toy you have anymore, you adapt to it. You don't have, I know it's, you know, your dad and a toy are very different things, but you just, that's what we adapt to situations and you get through it. Like, and you know, whether that means going to the cemetery every week or month or year, or I don't never go anymore. I don't live in the country anymore, but even when I come home, I forget to go. Does that make me bad? Like, does that mean I don't care about my dad, or does that mean I've moved on and forgot about him and don't suffer anymore? No, it doesn't. But that's just how I deal with it. You know, I know people that go to the cemetery every couple of weeks or every week still, and after 10 years. But that's up to them. That's how they deal with it, and that doesn't mean that they love their you know, the person that's gone any more than what I do to mine, you know. But I don't need to go. Go on.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, like, did you ever have any guilt about that kind of process of feeling happy again and moving on? Because I feel like
a little bit. Like, I used to obviously think about it all the time, but things happen, jobs, football things, like, you know, football games, sports games that occupy your mind, and they're not become more important, but your mind's occupied, and that's it at the end of the day. Sometimes I feel guilty that I didn't help him get better. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could have made him eat healthier. I come home and he was throwing up bloody chow mein and stuff, like Chinese like, he's meant to be eating healthy. You've got a, you know, you've got a bad heart. So what you doing eating that shit? Do you know what I mean? But he chose to do what he wanted to do, and that's it, isn't it? Like, you can't do nothing about it. I felt guilty about that for some time. But why? Because he done what he wanted to do, and I do what I want to do with my life because that's what my dad done. Do you know what I mean? If someone tells me I shouldn't do this or that, I'll do what I want. And that's a lot. We know when someone says, I see your dad in you, like, that makes me like, come on, like, because I literally, you ask my mum, she'd be like, it's like deja vu for her. She's got to go through all the shit she went through with my dad and the way he was, and you know, grumpy and all, and I'm exactly the same. And I'm literally like, he's like living through me, like, and that makes me happy, even if he was a miserable git, and that's what I'm like. I'm still happy about it.
I got to get a beer tummy then. If you look like my dad, I got to get a little beer belly.
That's where I'm going wrong. I got one of them. Trust me.
No, my brother's turning into my dad. I think, like, physically, sometimes.
But don't you think at the same time, as much as that's hard, it's not. You see,
it's lovely. No, it is.
It's lovely, right? So, like, I just think that as much as it's horrible, at times a healer, and it does somehow, some way, allow you to move on with your life by adapting to the situation you find yourself in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you found yourself in, you know, a situation that I have as well, and you just have to get on with it. You know what I mean? I know, like I said, like I've lost vision in my eye. I was bumping into people all the time, knocking people's drinks out their hands, getting into rows outside of Toby Carvery. Because
you get commission for mentioning
it. Yeah, like,
yeah, it's another spawn.
head on down to Toby Carvery.
Like, as if you don't get a Toby Carvery cheap enough already, they're giving it to me even cheaper.
Times are hard.
It's just you just adapt to the situation that you're in, and I think it has messed me up mentally, but I don't think it's I'm still convinced it's not because of that, but it has to be. Do you know what I mean? It has to.
I think for me, what's been difficult is I've gone straight into a pandemic. So, like, my grief period has predominantly been on my own or away from my family. And, like, it was his 60th birthday. It was his first birthday after he died, and he was going to turn 60. And that couldn't see my family. We ended up kind of having a socially distanced thing in the garden, because that's all we could do. And I think that's what's difficult, because, like you said, you're never not thinking about it, but it's sometimes really nice to be like, oh, I've not thought horribly in a couple of hours because I've been in that meeting and I was really concentrating, or I just had such a good night with the girls that actually I remember smiling more than being unhappy. And it's like all of those things that they don't make you happy, they don't take the pain away, but they occupy you, make you feel normal again. I've all been taken away, so it's so like I can't wait to just go back and have a day at work or go to the pub and just feel normal, because I spent so long with the year of him having cancer and then him dying. I felt so abnormal. I had such an abnormal life, and it was like, okay, at least you can go and try and be normal again, and then the whole world now isn't normal. And I think that's what's really difficult. So I'm hoping that the next step for me is on the old grief journey, kind of getting out and having my life back again will make it feel less overwhelming.
I agree.
Do you think that will happen?
I
Please
think so.
Tell me it will.
It will, of course, because, like I said, occupying your mind is, you know, as much as it sounds like cliche or like, all right, that's not going to work. It is the way forward, and it is, like, you know what I mean. And if even that's it, like it's just trying to occupy yourself and knowing that, all right, this bad thing's happened, but how am I gonna drive myself through it? Because you can either dwell on it and be sad, which is okay, but for me it's just get off your ass and do something with your life. Because I had no qualifications. I dropped out of school. I was picking up old cooking oil at 17, 18 with nothing. Do you know what I mean? No brain cells. And I thought, I can't do this. Like, what am I doing? And that was what got me through it. That the fact that I want to make something of myself and all that sort of stuff, and occupying my mind to say, use the bad thing and use it as fuel and fire to get something out of life. And you know, like I said, I'm still angry at the world. I still think the world owes me something. I still think one day I'm going to win the lottery or something. Do you know what I mean? Not that you know, no money can replace my dad, but something's got to give.
And the luck's going to turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that, like, that feeling. I say it all the time. I'm like, why me? And then I'm like, oh, you can't say that, Jessie. Everyone's got things on, and you go through this like whole journey of like, my life's really shit, and then you don't remember everyone else's, so like have got worse stuff, and then like, but not everyone has as bad. And then I'm like, oh my god, where am I supposed to land with this?
I think in COVID times as well, that state of mind is rife, that kind of feeling low, but someone's got it worse. And I think it's just, you can sit with how you feel, and you completely, you know, valid. I've just realised the time. Glenn, you're going to get sacked.
Yeah.
But it was
I just wanted to say
lovely
to people that might be, you know, that might be looking for help, you know, there's plenty of places that you can go to. And I mean, I spoke to Child Bereavement UK at one point, and you know, there's crews and there's care for the family, and there's that Marie Curie, I think, as well. There's loads of foundations that can help. And obviously, you know, we're not professionals, as we always say, but you know, sharing our own experiences, I hope that we can help others. And if anyone wants to rabbit to me, then, you know, feel free. And
same as me.
Thanks for listening. I'm glad I didn't cry, because as I was saying, it's becoming a bit of a habit these days, so get up there.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you letting me
thank
be
you
part
for
of that
sharing your
chat.
story, Jessie. It was good
thanks, Jessie.
Thanks for inviting me. And I didn't cry either, but I have been very red. No, it's been
well hosted, Jessie.
Yeah, you smashed it.
No, I mean, it was great to just listen to that, and again, just listen to experiences different from your own is like so enriching anyway. And I think if anyone that follows my page has watched this, then that's brilliant. That's like a tick. Someone doesn't feel on their own, so it's perfect.
That's the whole point of it.
Let's hope that we've helped a few people, and thanks for watching, peeps.
Yeah, we'll catch up over a carvery soon, I'm sure.
Oh god, no. I'll bring my pension bag.
When we do one at home, we'll be like Toby Carvery in the background, both of us just sitting there like that.
That could be our HQ.
Father's Day special with our pints.
Eating the roast, like.
Glenn shouted at me 4 times already before this.
All right, well, thanks, guys. Have a lovely evening, and I'll catch you soon.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Bye.